I'm sorry, yeah, could I get a roll call? Oh, I did, you just didn't hear me. I've called the meeting to order, sorry about that. I'm getting in trouble, we haven't even started yet, wow.
Good evening, Chair R. Curry and Commissioners. Commissioner Goodman,
Here.
Commissioner Reed,
Here.
Commissioner Glazier,
Here.
Commissioner Bowen,
Here.
Commissioner Maya,
Here.
Vice Chair Houghton,
Here.
and Chair R. Curry.
In the nick of time here.
And we have a quorum.
Any changes to the agenda?
Chair Archery, we have no changes recommended for the agenda.
Awesome. So notices that on Friday, October 14th, 2022 at 5 p.m., the wonderful Airport Commission Secretary Maureen duly posted this agenda on the bulletin board at the airport administration. Now we'll move on to public comment on any item that is not on the agenda tonight. And I believe I have 4 speaker slips, and all 4 of them are on items that is not on the agenda tonight. So we'll start. Mo, do you have the timer ready to go? And we'll start with Linda Foster. Hi, Linda. How are you?
I'm good at all of a sudden being first up sometimes, so.
Oh.
I've lived here since 1956. My folks and I moved here, and Goleta was small. The airport, as we all know, was small, and the racetrack that went around and everything. It was all fun. Is this really, it is on?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I currently live over on Ward Drive where Welsh Rice Funeral Home is, and you go to the end of it, and on the right is Fess Parker's old mobile home park. And it's a lovely park. I don't know how many of you have been there. But we're right in the path of the trajectory of planes. I've been there for almost 20 years, and the flight path coming in and departures used to be down by the industrial buildings that are on Ward Drive. And they seem to be slowly shifting, and the size of the planes as well, as we know, over towards the Goleta Beach side of our mobile home park. And they go directly over my house, and it's almost like I can reach out and touch someone up there. The noise is phenomenal. You have no idea. 5:15 in the morning, 5:30, there's usually 3 of them that take off, and I get that. They have to make flight connections to go back east or wherever they need to go. But my real point of being here is one little Band-Aid for now. It's not to renovate everything and make everybody in a turmoil and spend a lot of money on budgets and committees and whatever. Just can we hold the airlines accountable to taking off out of the way of our mobile home park? We look like little boxes down there, but there's real people, and we have a beautiful park, and there's a lot of people that are, there's 2 have heard in the last month that want to sell and get out of there because the noise is just absolutely crazy, and the frequency of the flights. I don't think you guys, I hope not, don't have to experience that or live in an area where you have them continually going over. And until, 11:30, you guys probably are aware of the flight schedules. I'm not here to be a drama queen, but I'm telling you, it's driving me crazy. And the stress level is just beyond. I can't sell out right now, and those reasons are, who cares? But it's just phenomenal. The wildlife is, I'm in a perfect spot in the park, and I get to see where the homeless live down in the willows there, going down to Goleta Beach on the bike path. And the wildlife has changed through the years. The noise is really keeping away. Am I at my time? I don't see a.
Oh, it's right up there.
I'm sorry. I don't know how much I went over, but
Oh, you're good. You can just wrap up. That's fine.
I'm wrapped up.
Okay. Thank
Thank
you, Linda
you.
Foster. Okay, next. Yes, I suppose I should have pointed that out. The timer is up there on the screen, so you can kind of judge how much time you have left. Mike Glick? Did I pronounce your,
Yes.
okay.
Pardon the mask. My wife has health issues, so I have to be extra careful about bringing COVID home. Got a lot of ground to cover. I'll try to get through it as quickly as possible. Bear with me. I'm pretty grumpy. Okay. Haven't had a decent night's sleep since they started these late night, early morning flights. And I've been working all day. So I'm talking about Elwood specifically. I've lived there since 1985 until 2000, recently moved back. Noticed a drastic change in the aircraft traffic over the neighborhood. They never used to fly over the neighborhood. So that's one myth I wanted to dispel right away is, you know, when you complain about the aircraft noise, people immediately come back at you like, oh, well, you chose to live next to an airport. Well, I'm 2 miles from the end of the runway. And when I moved in there in 85, they had a noise abatement corridor. And in fact, you still do as far as I know. And that curved off to the left over the Elwood Bluffs and the ocean between Devereaux and Elwood. The purpose of that noise abatement corridor was to mitigate noise, pollution, and safety risks. For some reason, after moving back, I went on the website and that noise abatement corridor doesn't show it anywhere on the SBA website anymore. So at some point, you guys have ceased using that. But it does still exist, as far as I know, because I haven't been able to get any kind of answers about when it was stopped being used and what was the process that went through to stop using it. Because it was put in there to mitigate impacts to the residences. So, just for example, the last 2 days, Tuesday, I was woken up at 5:21, 5:29. Well, at that point I'm already awake. 5:36, 6:13, 6:18, 6:41, 6:55, 7:01, and 7:05. These are not Cessnas; these are commercial jets. Okay, I can tell by the sound. You know, I can practically identify them. Then it's basically constant all day. And the last plane that I remember was at 11:30 approximately that night. I don't even try to go to bed before midnight because I'll just get woken up. And if I get to sleep, the way my mind works, and I get woken up, I'll be awake for at least an hour to 2 hours trying to get back to sleep because even though my body's tired, my mind is awake. So that was Tuesday. Wednesday, I got woken up, that's today, 5:20, 5:28, 6:05, 6:08, 6:23, 6:56. At that point, I just said, screw it, got up, made a pot of coffee. Another one at 7:28, another one at 7:29. I don't even know how they do that, but late night flights have been as late as 12:15. Right now, you guys are doing essentially nothing to mitigate this issue. You're doing nothing, okay? I hear the buzz phrase that it's voluntary. You're not asking them to volunteer, really. You're doing nothing, okay? You have to do something. This is unacceptable.
Okay, thank
I've
you,
got-
Mike. Can you wrap it up?
Yeah, I'm getting sleep deprivation. I work construction, okay? I almost fell off a ladder the other day because I can't think straight. I don't have balance issues. I'm a surfer. I'm an ex-gymnast. I don't have balance issues.
So just
I
so
have
we can
sleep
let other
deprivation.
speakers speak,
Yeah,
could you
thanks.
wrap it up, Mike? Thanks, Mike. Okay, next we have Cecilia, and I'm gonna. Fabulous.
You know, I'm here speaking for the group, Clean and Quiet SBA, and I was on the website before I came to look up the noise abatement policy, and the narrative is really interesting. It says there will be monthly noise impact reports that include flight operation totals, arrival flight activity, noise complaints by neighborhoods, noise complaint summaries, a noise summary report, noise complaint trends, and the noise complaint process. And the last report was April of 2022. Come on, you guys, you're not listening. You're not paying attention. And Mike's problem, today on CNN, they said a recent sleep study said that 5 hours of sleep is not enough. If you're gonna have a red-eye flight, then you can't start these 5 a.m. flights. That's 5 hours of sleep that we're getting, and it says short sleep duration is associated with onset of chronic disease and multimorbidity. That is 2 more chronic diseases at the same time. This is a major issue, and we've got 30,000 residents that are affected by this noise. I understand that there's supposed to be an upcoming meeting with the FAA. Well, I've been in touch with the FAA, and if they show up, I will be shocked. Has anyone ever had them out here? I ask that the noise abatement policy be an ordinary structure in the agenda for the commission. That way, the citizens can watch and listen and participate in this discussion so that the airport can be a good neighbor to the people that live around them. We ask that a member of the Goleta community sit on the airport commission so that they can have input to what's happening here. Right now, we don't feel we're being listened to. I have a petition of about 200 people, and I can't just get around on my own. I intend to hand it out to all the businesses in Goleta so that more residents can participate, and you're gonna hear more people complaining about what's going on. Thank you.
Thanks, Celia. Is it Celia or Cecilia?
Cecilia.
Thank you, Cecilia. And last, Peter Ivory. Hi, Peter. How are you?
Fantastic. How are you?
Good.
I've actually lived under the LAX flight path, so I know what noise is like. I currently don't live under any flight path, but I just wanted to give a perspective. I work for the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA, and for 20 years I've been involved in noise studies at the FAA during that time. And the FAA's mission is safety. And so the FAA, and I don't speak for the FAA, because I can assure you that if the FAA lawyer was right there, he'd be telling me I'm not speaking for the FAA, but I'm just trying to provide a perspective. The FAA's mission is safety. So when they come out and when they speak to you, they're going to want to have the quietest noise path for the community because that's in everybody's interest. But their primary concern isn't noise, it's safety. And if the airplane needs to fly at 1,500 feet or 2,000 feet and in a window, then that's, if that's the safe landing thing for the FAA, that's what they're going to do. They're going to want to land safely. So that's really, I don't need to speak any longer than that because I'm just trying to give everybody their perspective. The FAA, if they come out here, their primary mission, it's right there, is safety. And they'll do everything they can to facilitate the community, but again, their issue is safety. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter. Okay, I don't have any more speaker slips for public comment, so we'll move on to liaison reports. Council member and fellow La Colina parent, Eric Friedman.
Good evening, everyone. Great to be back here. I don't really have a report. I just want to welcome our new director, Chris Hastert, here. I'm looking forward to meeting with him soon. I think we just set up a meeting, but he brings a wealth of experience in the tri-counties here and a lot of experience dealing with the issues that we just heard about and others. So I just want to officially welcome you at the meeting tonight and look forward to working with you and a lot of these issues that are challenges for us and your perspective on there. So that's all I have tonight. Make it brief. Thanks.
Thanks, Eric. And Councilmember Kyle Richards.
Hello, everyone. Good to be here with you tonight. I also want to welcome Chris Hastert to the new position, and I look forward to working with you, and hopefully we can also have a meeting. I'd love to talk to you about the concerns of Goleta, and I'm sure as you've heard some of them tonight. I do want to just reiterate that we're looking forward. I had said this before, and scheduling a meeting with the city of Goleta. We're looking at scheduling a city council meeting with the staff of the airport as well as the FAA. I do understand that we have a few dates in mind, and we're narrowing that down, so hopefully that we can schedule that soon. And I think it was either going to be November or maybe early December is what we're looking at right now, so hopefully as soon as we can. And as you've heard tonight, we have some residents that are impacted by the negative impacts of the airport, by the noise, by the flight times, late nights, early mornings. And I want to just ask that you take these concerns seriously. This is affecting the quality of life of our residents, and this is a concern for many of our residents in the city of Goleta. And we appreciate that you're hearing those concerns, and we really want to work with you to address them. So thank you for that. I also know that our residents are concerned about the airport expansion plans, and they're worried about the increase in the negative impacts on their neighborhoods. So I know that will be something that we can talk about. And I want to reiterate the request that you've heard, that we have interest in having a member of Goleta, a resident of Goleta, who feels the negative impacts or feels the impacts of the airport on the commission, so that they can speak directly. And okay, well, thank you. We haven't actually spoken, so I'm glad to know that there is a resident of Goleta on the airport commission. All right, that was all I have for tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Richards. Before we move on to item number 5, welcome, Mr. Hastert. I'm sure Santa Maria is bummed, but they can't have you back. And we're hoping you're going to fill that chair till you retire in 25 or 40 years. So welcome to Santa Barbara. It's a pleasure to have you, and I know I speak on behalf of the commission that we'll do everything we can to support you and the staff, as we always have, and in any way we can help. So we'd love to hear your first director's report.
Thank you, Chair Arcuri and commission members. My name is Chris Hastert. I've accepted the position as your new airport director, and I'm happy to be here. I do plan to be here for a long time, so thank you for that. I assumed this position on October 3rd, so it's been kind of like a fire hose trying to get everything in. And I want to thank everybody for their patience, from the community, from the stakeholders, from the tenants here at the airport, commission members. I haven't had a chance to even meet all of the staff members yet here on the airport, so I appreciate your patience as I get up to speed on all of these issues. And I assure you I intend to address all of these issues head on and really try to do the best that I can here to address everything. I'd like to also acknowledge Mo for helping out with my calendar, because it's been very, very difficult to get everybody fit in. And before I talk about myself, I just want to also say that Brian Demore has been amazing to work with as your interim manager, and passed off a lot of information to me that is very valuable and enabled me to really hit the ground running and find out all of the issues that I need to deal with. And there are a lot of them in different areas. A little bit about me. I have my wife of 23 years and 2 children, 18 and 15. 18-year-old's excited to move down here. 15-year-old in high school, not so much. I am going to be a resident of Goleta, so I did rent a house here in Goleta. We haven't had a chance to move in yet, but I will be commuting. My prior airport was Santa Maria Airport. As mentioned, I was there for 14 years. Ventura County Department of Airports for 12 years before that, so I do have a history of sticking around for a little bit longer, and I don't want to mess up that pattern. In the past 2 weeks, I've been getting briefed on noise, south side relocation, south side improvements, the master plan, meeting all of the staff, both airport and citywide, meeting with almost all of the commission members. I look forward to meeting you, Ms. Reed. So we have been coordinating with the FAA for the community meeting with Goleta, and it is taking a little bit longer than I think anybody would like, but they are meeting with us to figure out who to send down here or up here, or maybe even a hybrid meeting where they're on Zoom or something similar. And I've also already started attending community events, and I plan to keep on doing that, both Goleta, Santa Barbara, anything in the area, including the Waterfront 150th anniversary, the SB Aviators meeting, and then my final community event up in Santa Maria for Central Coast Air Fest this last weekend. And I'll just end it with I'm happy to announce that the minimum standards were actually approved by the council. So I want to thank the commission and Brian for getting that through before I started here. I know it was a very lengthy process that was very difficult.
Okay, Chris, thanks, and again, welcome aboard. And I think you were thinking, I was thinking, I hope you would stay. It's actually, you're handcuffed to the job, and we'll release those. We'll talk about the release of those handcuffs in about 20 years.
Sounds good.
But thank you very much. So we'll move on to the consent calendar, and just a reminder to everybody on the commission, and I don't have any more speaker slips, but the consent calendar is typically run-of-the-mill items, leases that are short-term and within the guidelines of the cost, et cetera. So we have 2 items on the consent calendar. I'll read them both, and unless we have questions individually on them, I'll at the end ask for a motion to approve the consent calendar as I read it. So 2 items. Item 6, the minutes, the recommendation that the Airport Commission waive the reading and approve the minutes of the commission meeting that was held on Wednesday, September 21st, 2022. And lastly, subject fiscal year 2022 integrated pest management annual report. Recommendation that the airport accept the Santa Barbara Integrated Pest Management Strategy fiscal year 2022 annual report prepared August 2022. Do we have any commission members that have questions individually on any of those 2 items? I thought not. So could I get a motion maybe to approve the consent calendar?
I move to approve the consent calendar.
Awesome.
Second.
Oh, we got second? Cool. Okay, and all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. So Mo, that carries unanimously. And last but not least, item number 8, we might actually get this done in 30 minutes. Recommendation that the Airport Commission receive a staff presentation regarding the proposed capital improvement program for city fiscal years 2024 through 2028. Who will be given that?
Thank you, Chair Curry. Sarah Isa will be giving that report for me since I'm
Awesome.
learning as we go as well.
Awesome. Take it away, Sarah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the Commission. I'm Sarah Isa. I will be presenting the Capital Improvement Program for fiscal year 2024 to 2028, and also tonight to answer project-specific questions. For facilities-related questions, Mr. Andrew Bermond is here. Project-related questions, we have Ms. Jessica Metzger, our new airport project planner, in the audience, and also Mr. Brad Cleansing, our supervising engineer here at the airport. Next slide, please. Thank you. So the purpose of presenting the CIP is to review the airport draft CIP for fiscal years 2024 to 2028. Next slide, please. A brief review of airport capital planning. The airport receives funds from several entities, including the Caltrans Division of Aeronautics, FAA, and the city. It all goes into a funnel, if you will, and is applied to the airport in the version of projects. Next slide, please. So we have different capital plans, and it can be a little confusing, and it's been detailed in the spreadsheets, but I'm glad to explain further. So we have an FAA Airport Capital Improvement Plan, which we call the ACIP, and that's updated annually. We're just now beginning that process with them. That's a 5-year look into the future for projects that are federally funded that we plan to execute. And then we have a Caltrans Airport Capital Improvement Plan. That's biennial, so every other year, and that's a 10-year plan. Those are state-funded projects. And then we have our city CIP. which is biennial, and that includes a 5-year forecast of projects. Right now, next slide, please. We're updating the city CIP, and that's what we will be discussing tonight. So I will be going over all of the some examples of the federally funded projects and also some city-funded projects in our CIP. So our city charter requires that we update the capital program biennially, and it includes, as I said, a 5-year plan, and that includes a clear general summary of projects that we envision, a list of capital projects proposed to be undertaken in the next 5 years, as well as cost estimates, and the estimated annual cost of operating and maintaining the facilities. So it's a planning level document. It's not written in stone, and we do update it throughout the 2-year period. The projects in the first 2 years are considered budget-ready projects. So projects that we feel we're going to be ready to execute in the next 2 years. And then the outer years are used for identifying needs not constrained by any funding availability. And so I'll get into a little more about our unfunded projects. And then the last column, again, talking about unscheduled projects. I'll explain soon. Next slide, please. So we have a schedule, which we are in October. You can see we started in September by updating the department entry. Each department in the city provides a list of projects to be included. Right now, we're reviewing those projects with boards and commissions for input. In November, staff will be meeting with the city planner and engineer and more boards and commissions and providing final edits. And then December, the draft CIP will be prepared by Public Works, and then it will be reviewed by the Planning Commission, and then the city administrator, and then in March, City Council will review it and consider it for adoption. Next slide, please. So this is very busy, and I understand nobody can read that, but I just want to give you an idea of, this is a continually updated spreadsheet of projects and funds and whether or not they are federally funded or city funded, et cetera, and it goes through the years. But I'm happy to provide any more detail. I believe there was some additional detail in your packet as requested. Next slide, please. This is an example of a project in the city CIP. This is the General Western Arrow Hangers restoration project that's been in our CIP for a while, and we do update it. And as we move along throughout the years and maybe projects change, then we update the amount of money that we foresee will be needed to complete the project. So it includes some project detail and then a forecast of money that will be required to implement the project. Next slide, please. So more on airport capital projects for this next planning period, CIP. So we have $106+ million in capital projects on the books. Several of those are funded by FAA through their AIP program. We have $32 million coming in AIP entitlement funds and $3 million coming in AIP matching funds. And then other projects include $74 million worth of projects, and I can speak a little bit more about that in a moment. But the big picture is that there are no funding sources identified for many of these projects. Next slide, please. So this is a summary, and again, this isn't meant to show the detail, just the bottom line is these are our projects outlined for the next 5 years for the FAA AIP grant eligible projects. You can see the second column is FY 24. We have quite a number of projects that are federally funded happening in the next year, and that's close to $10 million. And that includes some apron rehab, some concept design for the terminal expansion, an airfield drainage study, et cetera, the marking, signage, lighting plan. The total number, if you add up all of the federal ASIP funding available for the next 5 years, it's close to $80 million, and that's the red box on the bottom right. Next slide, please. Thank you. So just to highlight some notable FY 24 to 25 FAA projects, they'll be happening soon and they will be federally funded, is the airfield marking, signage, and lighting program. That includes taxiway renaming and LED lighting on the airfield. Some planning efforts include the pavement condition index study, about $250,000. The airfield drainage study, it's $370,000 approximately. And then some significant pavement rehabilitation that's much needed. And we were able to bump up additional pavement rehabilitation due to availability of the bipartisan infrastructure law bill. Next slide, please. And then beyond that, 2026 to 2028, some more federally funded projects. The Taxiway Hotel Extension project, that's on the order of $13 million for construction. The terminal expansion project, which we just kicked off the conceptual design, is approximately $40 million. And then a lot more pavement rehabilitation on additional taxiways. And this is a figure showing concept design of the Taxiway Hotel Extension. We're in environmental review for that right now. Next slide, please. Now I will quickly summarize, and there are many non-federal capital projects that are airport funded, and a lot of them are unfunded, and they're related to facilities maintenance. Again, not to show you the detail, but I do want to impress the total number for unfunded projects is about $100 million, and that goes through FY 2028. Next slide, please. And to give you an example of some upcoming projects that are airport funded, or at 495 South Fairview, hangar door repairs on the order of $500,000. Hangars 13, 14, and 15 roof replacement with possible solar for about $1 million. Hangars 13 and 15 electrical upgrades for about $100,000. And again, if you have more facilities-specific questions, you're welcome to ask Mr. Vermond after the presentation. Next slide, please. We also have some upcoming facilities-related projects at the terminal, HVAC replacement, stucco repairs, and flooring repairs. Individually, these don't seem very much, but they do add up quickly. Next slide, please. And then a big project in the offing that we're working on the conceptual design for now is the parking structure. And this is an initial concept design. It's not anything final at all, but this is an idea. It will cost about $6 million just to complete the design and environmental for the parking structure, which is also unfunded. Another project that we would love to do is a sewer master plan implementation. That would add a northwest quadrant of the airfield to the Goleta Sanitary District line below Firestone Road. That's on the order of $3 million. That would allow us to bypass the main sewer line that presently goes through the airfield. And then, of course, 61 Hollister Avenue. I'm sure most people are aware of Phase 1, which is built. It's right across the street north of Hollister. There is a design for Phase 2 for a combination of industrial and commercial property on the order of $8.5 million. Next slide, please. We also have several programmed maintenance projects that we set aside money for every year. So we have, for HVAC and re-roof, we set aside $150,000 every year. As well as the street resurfacing program, which we also set aside $150,000 a year to repave and re-slurry airport roads. As well as AOA maintenance. We set aside another $150,000 a year for patch, pavement, replacement of markings and lights. And I'm happy to answer any questions, and also, as I mentioned, Mr. Bermond, Ms. Metzger, and Mr. Klinsing are here to answer any project-specific questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Do I have any commission members that would like to? Mr. Bowen.
Thank you, Craig. Two very small trivial questions, but on the Taxiway Hotel extension, I'm seeing it in 2026, 2028. Did that slip out a bit, or was it always that late?
Mr. Commissioner, I'm not sure that it's always been that late. I'm new to the airport, but it's been that late since I've been here.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Thank you for that. And then the other minor question was on the Fairview Avenue hangars, as far as the repairs and such on that. When are we looking at that? I didn't see a date.
I'll defer to Mr. Vermont. Thank you.
Those are in progress this fiscal year. We're trying to get the roofing for the mezzanine done this year, as well as a initial repair for hangar 14 doors. Ultimately, what we're looking at for this year is a Band-Aid project to get the doors in operation. We need to do a long-term overhaul of those doors.
So we'll see some more expenses for that later on then.
Absolutely. yeah.
Okay, thank you, Andrew. I'm all finished.
Any other commissioners? Let's start down at the end. That's you.
Oh, sorry, no.
Carol, I'm so.
No, don't be.
You're kind of hiding back there.
I am.
Okay,
Spreading out.
go ahead.
I just had one quick question. Seeing the picture here, I think we had approved several months ago a commission or commissioned a report on the General Western hangars. Do we get any update on that, or how's that going?
Yes, Mr. Commissioner, we received a draft report from the consultant, and they are making revisions based on our staff comments right now. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you so much for the update.
Mhm.
Levi?
Question about the parking structure. I think you said it was unfunded, right?
Yes, Mr. Commissioner, a portion of the parking structure will be funded from something called a CFC. It's a car rental facility charge. And that will equate to approximately 25% of the building. Right now, we have it estimated, and this is an estimate, so nothing written in stone, as around $54 million.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I wasn't sure how much of the rental car fee would cover the cost of it, or if we were even talking about the same parking structure. So thank you.
Right now, very conceptual, approximately 25%.
Thanks, Levi. Anybody else? Dennis?
Yes, so Commissioner Maya was kind enough to pass along an FAA bulletin last week on design considerations for eVTOL ports. And if the FAA is pushing this out now, I'm thinking in 3 or 4 years it could be something very important. Are we planning on incorporating the electric vertical takeoff and landing port design into our future design plans?
That's a good question, Mr. Commissioner. So we have the master plan update, which is looking at that, setting aside room for the eVTOL. And then also, we're working on incorporating it possibly into the terminal expansion, or at least setting some room aside for it. And Brad Klinsing, I'm not sure if you have more to add on that detail. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was an awesome question.
Yeah, it's interesting.
2 questions. Is the city engineer that will be interfacing with the former interim director? So.
Yes, absolutely.
So hopefully he holds us in good stead then.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. And then am I to understand, actually I shouldn't say that laughing. Am I to understand that over the next, through fiscal year 2027, there's roughly $80 million of ASIP money to projects you have listed on this spreadsheet. And over roughly the same period of time, we've identified $100 million of things that we have no idea where the money is going to come from. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct. So we meet often and talk about priorities and need and rebalance the project list.
And these, the things that are on the currently we don't know where the money's coming from list, these aren't nice thing. I mean, these aren't things we're talking about doing that are not necessarily, they're infrastructure related things for our aging airport. Is that correct?
They're mostly very much needed. Yes, sir.
Yeah, understood. Okay. Well, if anybody has $100 million, I'm sure we could put it to good use. Okay, I don't have any other questions. Any other commission members? Well, Sarah, thanks a lot for that. And you didn't come with $100 million by any chance. Darn. Okay, well, in that case, Tava. Public comment. Do we have any public comment on, geez, I guess I missed that on the consent calendar too. Were you trying to get my attention on that? I'm so sorry. Do we have any public comment on the consent calendar? Do we have any public comment or $100 million on the airport capital improvement program item? Hearing none, and nobody coming forth with $100 million, then I will close and adjourn this meeting of the Airport Commission and look forward to our next meeting. Thank you all for coming.